All right. Hello friends and welcome back to another vlog on my channel. It has been a week since the last time that I vlogged. Not for any particular reason why I've taken a little bit of a break, just kind of didn't have the time for it perhaps. But we are back, we have time, I'm ready to chat with you guys. I just finished editing the last vlog, which will be going up like a week after it's supposed to, but I need to remember to do the thumbnail, otherwise you're gonna see whatever YouTube recommended. But I have a few updates from last vlog that I wanted to talk to you guys about. For one, at the end of last vlog, I was telling you guys about the eczema that is on my eye and debating whether or not I would see if not taking a shower and just letting like my natural skin oils moisturize it would help, because otherwise I would have to go to the doctor and I'd have to get special medication because you can't put eczema medication on your eyelid or else you'll go blind. So, results from that, don't do that. Honestly, it didn't do much for my eyelid, to be fair, but I feel like it made it slightly worse. Just slightly. So, not a good idea. Books-wise, though, last time that we talked, I was reading I wasn't reading The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. I was reading the sequel, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and I told you that in the next vlog, I'd be talking to you guys about Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I finished this book. So, thoughts from beginning to end. I enjoyed this book a little bit less than I did the first book. Generally, what I tend to find in sequels, especially when they're part of a trilogy or more, is that the sequels have so much expectations put on them, especially if you really liked the first book in the series, while also you're having to set up the next book. And so it's this weird middle bit there that sometimes just doesn't work. And this book actually kind of had the opposite problem, where it worked a little bit too well. So much stuff went on in this that I don't know what's going to happen in the next book. Like, we've solved a lot of our problems. Did we set up some details in this that would be interesting to see play out? Yes, but not enough to know how that's going to go. And so it's a very strange feeling, but it's still, I really enjoy the characters, I really enjoy the writing. It's very academic if you haven't read Emily Wilde before. She is a teacher at Cambridge and she teaches about fairies, basically. In the first book, she is writing an encyclopedia of fairies. In this book, she has completed her encyclopedia and she is instead making a map of all the different fairy worlds and basically saying that they are all connected, which is something that in fairy academia, a lot of people say that they aren't. They're all each their own individual worlds, and she is saying, no, I know that they're connected, and here's why. So she's writing that. She's getting into a little bit of mischief. As always, I feel like she always has her problems. Yeah, I enjoyed this, not as much as I did the first book, but I really liked the first book. So honestly, if this book was better, I don't know what I would do. I am currently reading Apprentice to the Villain, which is a sequel to Assistant to the Villain. The interesting thing about this, so I don't actively have Assistant to the Villain with me right now because it's a library book and I had to give it back. But Assistant to the Villain was a purple cover with red pages. And the opposite is for Apprentice to the Villain. It is a red cover with purple pages. Interestingly, I don't like that. I thought that the purple cover with the red pages looked really cool, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But somehow the opposite just kind of feels gross. I don't like that. But I'm not very far into this. I'm on page 80. I guess I'll give you a brief description of assistant to the villain so you can kind of understand what we're going with here. The main character's name is Evie. She is walking through the woods when she accidentally stumbles upon the villain, who that's like all he's known by is the villain, trying to run away from the king's guards. She gets wrapped up in it. She ends up needing to escape with the villain. During their escape, they're like talking. She just randomly says that like she's looking for a job, and the villain's like, "Congratulations, you're my assistant now." And so she has to do assistant things for the villain. It's very funny. It's very much not dark. While there are some like dark things, it's mostly humorous, and I really enjoyed it, so I grabbed the sequel as soon as I could. And I don't have too much to say yet on this book, but that's what we're going to be talking about throughout this vlog. As well, I went and I got some other books from the library. I planned it so that I would only be getting 2 library books, and then like a week later I'd get 2 more. That's how I planned out my holds, and yet somehow 4 of them came in the same day. There was a miscommunication there. So beyond Apprentice to the Villain, I also have Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which I haven't started yet. Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. I've really liked a lot of Tessa Bailey's works. Sometimes I don't, but I'm excited to see whether or not I like that one. Ali Hazelwood, I've only ever read 1 book from. So, we'll see. I'm just very intrigued by werewolves. That's how we'll say it. And then Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. This author also wrote Hot British Boyfriend and Hot Dutch Daydream. I read both. Hot British Boyfriend I didn't like as much, but I really enjoyed Hot Dutch Daydream, so I'm excited to get into this. It is a girl who works at her family's game store, and so it's like nerdy, but it's also YA, teen. I'm excited. As well, we need to talk because today I finished the coding for Pong. I haven't talked about it in a while because I originally started it 4 months ago, and then I got COVID and kind of forgot about it. But today I went back into it 4 months later. I don't know what was going on with me, and I finished that up. I should have honestly recorded as I was doing it, but the thought didn't go through my brain. But after that, I'm going to be doing an RPG game. I'm still looking because I'm still kind of following tutorials and learning how to do it. So I'm not 100% sure how it's going to go, which tutorial exactly I'm going to use, depending on which one I click with the learning style of. But maybe I'll show you a little bit of that throughout this vlog. I think that's everything that we needed to catch up on. So I'm going to read a little bit more of Apprentice to the Villain. It's currently like 1 a.m., so I need to go to bed soon, but otherwise, we'll start a vlog. Okay, so I just went through all of the tutorials that I had saved, trying to figure out which one I want to use for when I create this RPG and start coding for that. Just another game. This will be my 3rd one where I am following a tutorial and sort of having a guideline so that I'm not completely lost. I want to see whether or not like I'm understanding the concepts, but I also want the like floaties so I'm not drowning in the ocean. So I watched 3 different I didn't watch the entire series, but I watched a little bit of each of the first episodes of 3 different tutorial series, all dealing with RPGs, and I chose the one that I am going to be following. The first one that I saw was a little bit more beginner based. It was under the level of what I was looking for. The second one, I just really did not like the way that the guy was describing things to do. He was saying a lot of ums and uhs and like, do this thing, and not really explaining. He didn't seem like he knew what he was doing or that he was confident enough to be teaching me. So why am I listening to him? But this third one that I chose, it's by Maker Tech here on YouTube. And I've only watched about half of the first episode, but it seems better. It seems like a possibility. So I'm going to work on that, seeing what to do. The only problem is it's an action RPG, and I'm thinking more turn-based, but I also found a tutorial for how to implement a turn-based system. So we'll see. We'll see. It depends on how I feel about it and moving on and stuff. So I'm thinking about working on that tonight, despite the fact that it's currently midnight. But I'm charging my phone right now. It has 40 minutes until it's done charging. And I'm like, that's 40 minutes where I can start looking into coding for this game. So maybe that's what I'll do. Okay, so I have been struggling the past few days with reading Apprentice to the Villain. I'm on page 168. No, I can't do it. I'm gonna put a little bit of text down here so that if you want to read Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain and you don't want any spoilers, just like take out your earphones or whatever you're listening with, put yourself on mute until that text goes away. But otherwise, if you just want to hear me ramble about bad books, strap yourselves in, because oh my goodness. So at the end of Assistant to the Villain gets kidnapped. Shocking. And it's this whole setup to Apprentice to the Villain, where Evie, our main character, is going to use the things that she's learned from being the assistant to the villain in order to save the villain. Like, that's so exciting. That's why I was so excited to hop into this. I don't know how many pages it was. 20 pages? Maybe? I don't know. But, it was done. They saved the villain. Everybody's back together within the first 20 pages of this book. I don't think it was actually 20. It was probably more like 50. But, you know, the point remains. And so that was a little bit upsetting because I thought that was going to be the entirety of this book, is both the main character and all of the other employees to the villain banding together and doing their best with their knowledge of his villainous activities to save him. But that's not what this is about, and that's okay. You know what? I had expectations, and I was wrong. We could still continue. There were a few other things that happened pretty early on that was just kind of like, okay. For example, Evie, our main character, she had an older brother who died. She actively watched him die. Like, she was there in the moment looking at him when he died. In this book, she kind of befriends, kind of just gets one of the king's guards to join her side and help her in her silly little 20-page quest to save the villain. And then he, like, takes off his mask, and it's revealed that he's her older brother, who is dead. Like I said, she saw him die, and he explains that he was not actually dead at all. He had gotten amnesia, and 5 years ago, he, like, suddenly got his memories back, remembered who he was, and then just decided to, like, stay working for the king. So it was pretty much just like a coincidence so that we could have that moment. But it doesn't make sense. Like, she actively saw him die. His death was part of this whole thing that, like, ruined her family. But then actually, like, he's been alive this entire time. And there's never really any fallout for that. He just kind of shows up and is like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And both Evie and her younger sister are like, oh, that's okay. We could have had a bigger reaction than that. And then we get to this thing, there's some sort of like prophecy storytelling book thing that says some poem, as prophecies do, that they are trying to solve. And so they go into this one like cave-like area, which they just so happen to like be able to get through perfectly fine. This is a really dangerous area, but not for them because they're the main characters. And they get this thing that they need to pour on some letters so that they can see the invisible writing that tells them to go to this other town. They go to that town, they both get kidnapped, but it's okay because like they can figure out how to get out of there. And then that was all for nothing, so now they're going to this other place. There's so much that has gone on in 160 pages of this. I've had 2 whole books worth of adventure. Like, it's so tiring. Oh my god, I didn't even tell you yet. So the villain, his mansion in the middle of the woods is invisible, so nobody can see it. One of the windows is just suddenly visible, and he knows about it, and he's like, oh, that's okay. One of the side characters is trying to figure out how to fix that, but kind of like low-key trying to figure out how to fix that because it's not that big of a deal, and it's like the whole reason why the mansion is invisible is so that nobody knows where it is. But nobody's worried about that. It's just kind of a little side, oh, by the way, like the mansion's visible, whoops. I just feel like this book is pulling itself in too many directions all at once, and I cannot do it. I was really trying. I don't know how many pages I read today, 10, 20, and I just cannot do this anymore. I do not have the emotional or the mental capacity to deal with this book's bullshit. So I've only ever read one Ali Hazelwood book before this, and that was The Love Hypothesis. I had to think about it for a second. What did I read? But one of the things that I really like about her, and one of the reasons why I want to be a fan of her, despite the fact I've only ever read one book and I somewhat liked it, so I can't really say that I'm currently a fan, but I want to be a fan. And that is because she is kind of well known for being an AO3 author, or at the very least, like, she is well known for like knowing about AO3, using AO3. Sometimes I like to dip into the acknowledgement sections of books even before I start reading in order to see who they acknowledge. And the cool thing is, in this book, Ali Hazelwood even like says thank you to AO3 and the Organization of Transformative Works in general, which I just think that's really cool and fun. But I just read to page 11 of this book, and I can already tell she is an active AO3 user. Like, damn, I read those kinds of books too, those kinds of fics too. So I'm really excited to get through this. I think it's gonna be 5-star, absolutely amazing, obsessed sort of story, and I'm really excited to read it. I needed to let you know that I'm really excited to read this. So I was sleeping, full on, like, dreaming, sleeping, not even on the verge of sleep. I was sleeping, and I hear, in real life, the sound of my dog whining. In this house, the bathroom door is a pocket door, like a sliding door, but it slides into the wall. My dogs know how to open those kinds of doors because they just fit their noses through the gap and shove it open. But for the most part, they don't. Mostly because, like, interest. There's nothing really going on behind that door. They kind of know that. But occasionally, they'll open the door. And then sometimes they get stuck because they can't figure out how to get back out. So I'm hearing my dog whine, and it's coming from the direction of that door. And so I like wake up because I'm hearing this. And I'm like, oh, my dog got stuck in the bathroom. So I get up, roll out of bed. I head over there, and just before I turn the corner to where that door is, my dog turns the corner and looks at me like, oh my gosh, you're awake. I'm so happy. And so I was like, okay, I can generally tell each dog's whines from each other because I've known them for so long. You'd be surprised what random little things you can know about somebody, like the sound of their footsteps or the way that they whine or, anything. And so I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure it was this dog, but maybe it's a different dog. I have multiple dogs. So I opened the door a little bit wider because it wasn't open enough for me to get into, just enough for the dogs to get into. Then I'm looking around. I don't see any dogs. So then I come back out and I see where all my dogs are, like, in the same area, in the same room. And I'm counting all of them, and they're all there. So I don't know. She went into the bathroom, she whined, and then she heard me coming and she got herself out. And she's all, oh my god, life is so great, you're out here, yay. I was sleeping. It was a good sleep. I was dreaming, like, I'm being bullied by my own dogs. Okay, so I went crazy today. And I read like 2/3 of this book. I think yesterday I read a little bit of it, but only like the first couple of chapters, which is just a few pages. I read a lot today. That's pretty much all that I did, was sit and read that. And now I'm a little bit tired of reading. I also need to edit videos tonight, so I'm going to do that. One other thing that I want to do in this video, which I haven't done yet, is show you guys all the stuff that I did in a single day of the coding for the new RPG game that I'm working on. Still following a tutorial and all that. I'm not that cool yet, but I feel like I did a lot. I just have to figure out a good way of guiding you guys through that, and I haven't figured that out yet, but when I do, I'll insert the clip after this clip. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I can't remember if I'm on day 3 or day 4 of recording for this. So either way, it is time to end this video and move on to a new one so we can continue talking about this book that I'm flying through, whatever I'm working on, such and such. So, thank you for watching this vlog. I hope that you enjoyed spending a little time with me and my days. And I will see you in the next one for all of that. Alright, so here is a quick look at the things that I have already coded into the game. It took me about 2 hours to do this. I'm pretty proud. You can walk underneath trees. There's a little path here. The camera moves with you, surprisingly something that you have to code in. As well, these bushes, that's what I assume they are. They'll stop you The flower does not, but you can go behind the flower. That's pretty cool. Same thing for the tree. And then the enemies, you can like get stopped by them. You can collide into them, but as of right now, they don't do anything. You can just kind of get hit by them. One thing that I need to figure out is that one like vibrated a little bit. And then also this one, I don't know what the jittering is or how to stop that, so I'll still have to figure that out. But as for right now, I am pretty happy with this progress, and I will continue on later.